Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. In today's podcast, I wanted to talk about news about Michelle Go and the incident that happened. Information came out that Deloitte provided $50,000 to a nonprofit in New York that wanted to keep homeless on the subways. And Deloitte provided between $25,000 and $50,000 to the Urban Justice Center. And what the Urban Justice Center did was they helped fight the city from keeping homeless people off the subway, because there were various rules, or they were trying to enforce rules to keep homeless people from camping in the subways and just being in the subways. They said they're citizens and they deserve to be down there and live down there. But now, as more and more of these incidents come about, it seems like that was a bad cause to give to, and especially since it ended up ending one of the lives of the employees of Deloitte. And this goes to what I was saying in prior podcasts about Big Four accounting firms talk all this stuff about ESG, DEI, and they get involved in various things, but they need to get more involved in the safety of their employees. And even this past weekend, there was an incident of a 61-year-old man who got pushed into the subway. Now, there's a 61-year-old man that pushed Michelle Go into the train tracks, but this latest person that got shoved by Wall Street, there was no train coming, so they did survive. But it seems like Deloitte is funding the wrong things, and it's actually endangering the safety of their employees, and they need to be more aware of what they're doing. And that was kind of my point, is the Big Four accounting firms throw a lot of money around to NGOs and nonprofits, and they don't pay attention to where the money is going. And I think a lot of times the children of the partners work at these things, so they're just sending money there. But in a perfect world, the Big Four accounting firms need to provide security for their people. They need to fund the security of their people in whatever way possible, whether it's some kind of security guard in the subway around their buildings. They need to figure it out, whether it's more insurance. I think they need to provide more insurance for employees. Now, if you die when you're traveling for business, there's certain payouts for that. But I mean, hopefully people will keep their lives, not plan their death working at the Big Four accounting firms. But I think that's another thing too. The Big Four accounting firms are going to make the cities that they work in or their employees work in less safe, and they're going to fund whatever causes they want to make that happen. Then Big Four accountants either need to push back on them to make sure that they don't do this going forward, and have more accountability in the way that the partners fund these institutions, or even a lot of the Big Four have various foundations. So it might not be the Big Four accounting firm itself, but the Big Four accounting firm's foundation that funds these causes. But another thing too is it's not just New York where there's tons of violence happening. There, it's not just people getting pushed in the subways, it's cops getting shot. But it's also a lot of major cities around the U.S. where it's just a lot of decriminalization. And even in Europe, there's a lot of decriminalizing things going on. And so Big Four accounting firms need to push back, need to provide safety for their people, and the employees need to push back on the Big Four accounting firms. And at some point, there's going to need to be hazard pay for working in these cities if you have to go into the office, or, I mean, a lot of times it's just working in these cities is very dangerous. There was one social media post of a lady who got mugged in the subway, and she said, now that it's more common to get mugged, it's better. She had like a wallet that looked like trash, and she's like, you have to keep your money in something that looks like trash so they don't steal it. But at some point, there has to be hazard pay in these cities, or the Big Four accounting firms need to get involved. They obviously got involved on the other side, on the side of the decriminalizing everything and helping fund that. And so I think that they need to get involved in making sure that their employees are safe. And in cities like New York, where transportation is really, public transportation, maybe it's providing the ability for their employees to get a black car service or some kind of car service to and from home if they have to go into the office. And there's a lot of news stories about the financial institutions in New York requiring their employees to go back to the office, so that might happen soon. But I think there's just a lot to come on this, and I think Michelle Gill kind of is raising awareness, even though she's not with us anymore. She's raising awareness around this issue, and hopefully she brings more safety, not only to Big Four accountants, but to people at large in New York City and, maybe other cities too. But that's the podcast for today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates and check out the show notes for useful links. Thanks for listening.